Welcome everybody to the DC New 52 review. I want to thank you for tuning into this episode. I am your host, Pauly DC, and let's get into another one of these things. Today I will review Batman and Robin Vol.2. It was titled Pearl, and it was written by Peter J. Tomasi with art by Patrick Gleason and Mick Gray, with issues 9 to 14 plus 0 being released between July and December of 2012. This Volume 2 brings in another layer and dynamic to the still budding relationship between Batman Bruce Wayne and his son, the current Robin Damian Wayne. New enemies must be faced, family loyalties tested, and the legacy of Robin will be questioned. Issue number 0 begins this book with the birth of Damian being shown in accelerated manner, and he is literally baptized in blood when a maid questions his mother, Talia al Ghul, and is killed for it, spilling her blood into his baptism pool. Also, Talia says new nurses will be needed for breast milk for her son, but unless those women are also pregnant, no can do. You put your boy through years of unspeakable agony and trauma but won't breastfeed him? Man, you're messed up. Damian is next seen training as a child and being told by Talia that she will tell him everything about his father when he defeats her on his birthday, due to him being so curious since she only refers to him as their Alexander the Great. Fun fact, Alexander named several cities after Bucephalus, the horse that Talia mentions here. I will also mention here, as she takes a call from super Nazi villain Otto Netz, that Miss Al Ghul goes back to Detective Comics number 411, May 1971, by Dennis O'Neil, Bob Brown, and Dick Giordano. One last thing I want to say with Damian finding and putting on a Batman suit here is, if he's currently 10 now and his pops has only been in costume barely half a decade, then Damian would have to have 2 to 3 birthdays a year, or this makes no sense at all. Moving on, Talia explains where she named her son from the Greek words to tame, meaning Damianos. However, the closest translation we would get to that name is Thamesmenos, which is just tamed in Greek. P.S. The fourth letter of the Greek alphabet is typically pronounced Thelta, not Delta, so take that as you will. Anyway, snippets of Damian's insanely intense and bizarre trainings are seen, coupled with him learning visual, music, and war arts, plus some scientific knowledge. Oh, and being harshly defeated during his birthdays. Finally though, on his 9th birthday, Damian begins an assault on his mother, skydiving to an island while she prepares huge ninja bats, and before even touching the ground, he has murdered over a dozen zealots, including a parachute used to trap some of them, sending them to a free-fall death. Yikes. After landing, Damian deals with more goons and multiple ninja bats with hardly a problem, while declaring no more secrets between him and his mom. You'll never have that luxury, bro. He then breaks into Talia's stronghold, besting her in a sword fight, and then being told answers will be given as they travel to London. On the journey, it is seen that his trainers served their purposes and now are gone. Oh boy. And thanks to lots of ninja bats, Batman is captured so he can meet Damian, similar to that from Batman number 655, and to be left under his care under Talia's direct wishes. Issue number 9 is this title's Night of the Owls tie-in, which can be seen anytime in my review of that crossover, but on one page that's important and will be seen again here is Robin searching the Gotham sewers for something. Issue number 10 starts up a 3-part story that begins with a new villain called Terminus, which is a word meaning the end or final point in space or time, and along with his motley crew of Smush, Bootface, Scallop, and Bathead, who have been maimed by Batman in the past, they discuss a plan to kill their common foe. Over to Wayne Manor, all the former Robins, minus Jason Todd, are present for a family portrait with Bruce and Alfred, where Tim gives Damian grief over having to kill Otto Netz, which happened in the Batman Incorporated series that eventually got worked into the New 52 in messy manner, and because the two boys seem to have actual problems with the other over Robin legacy, Bruce has to step in. What he cannot stop is Damian setting up the trio of his predecessors later on and proclaiming he will prove to be the best of them by attacking the others when they don't expect it. There's also talk of Robin having a $500 million price on his head from Talia after killing Netz, which again happened in Batman Incorporated. Bruce and Alfred are next seen in the Batcave with some classic sage advice from Mr. Pennyworth regarding full trust among his proteges due to them not knowing Damian killed nobody in Volume 1. Well, there ain't much trust in a following scene because Red Robin returns to the Batcave to tell Bruce about Damian's threats, but he anticipated this, sitting in wait so he could berate Tim about his time in the culling event, which by now has concluded, and this ushers in a brief fight with mentions of Robin killing a D-list villain from the 70s named the Spook, which he did indeed do in the 2006 Batman and Robin story. However, it's clear by the fight's end that Tim is envious that Damian shares Bruce's blood. As for Terminus, because he appears to be wilting and withering away, a torturous form of some lab experiment is done to himself involving a reverse bed of nails from hell that are actually, let me put it this way, trypanophobians, look away now. Terminus then emerges looking a bit rejuvenated, but appears to only have 25 hours left to live, which sucks for Gotham due to him wanting to go out with a legit nuclear bang. Issue number 11 opens on one of Red Hood, Jason Todd's Gotham safe houses, where he finds a crowbar, the weapon that Joker used to partially kill him, laying in his bed, which Robin savagely placed there before ambushing Jay, who somehow knows that Damian killed nobody. But he really doesn't care that Todd is aware of this, going on to boast that he got to beat down the Joker recently, which took place in Batman and Robin number 13, 2010, and apparently Jason forgot about his all-cast training here due to not putting up a good battle, resulting in a stolen Red Hood helmet. The reason Jay was still even in Gotham was to help with the Night of the Owls, and this didn't get him invited to Family Picture Day, plus he didn't get invited to the big gala in Batman number 1 either. That's rough, man. Over to Police HQ, Commissioner Jim Gordon is telling Batman and Robin that Terminus' crew is now using the Bat logo as a symbol of fear, branding it on people across the city in a sudden wave of terror. This all sends our two heroes into action, immediately making a firm statement, and would you look at that art of Batman? Nice. Gordon also says it's nearly dawn, which plays into this plotline's conclusion. Problems are only growing, it seems, though, as Terminus has amassed a semi-large brigade of Bat haters, and he's taken a page straight from Christopher Nolan, blowing up multiple buildings in a certain manner. How could this really actually realistically happen with no Bat ally catching on earlier? I don't know, and I don't care. Batman is now majorly ready for battle, with even Robin saying they may need a plan, and they sure as hell do, because Terminus was seen having less than 2 hours to live, so he injects himself with some unknown fluid and bursts through a building to attack them in his own super mockery armor. Issue number 12 continues right from the previous one, having Batman and Robin taking on Terminus and the main group of antagonists in the middle of the city, and honestly, with all the effed up Bat fanatics and freaks around, I'm surprised this crap doesn't go on every other week. Batman then gets into a bit of a one-on-one fight with Terminus, giving us no real name for him or connection to the Dark Knight, while Robin is seen getting tossed into a knife shop. That is one of the most unfortunate things his enemies could have ever done. It's next shown that Batman has a power-enhancing mech suit under this Batmobile, because of course he does, and with Robin brandishing dozens of blades now, alongside Robin's 1, 2, and 3 hitting the scene for backup, it's a true family affair. Batman looks to be taking Terminus apart piece by piece, however, after he starts to abruptly lose the fight, Terminus' death clock tolls 0, causing him to collapse. And while this may be a welcome sight accompanied with the quartet of Robins defeating Smush, Scallop, and even the GCPD getting in on some bat-like gadget fun, using taser webs from helicopters to subdue a bunch of the goons, it was all a major stall tactic, explained by Terminus when he says his countdown was also meant to set off the nuke that he had full of deadly toxins. Batman sure isn't gonna let no damn C-list villain turn his city into Bikini Atoll though, so with my favorite piece of art showing the 4 young crime fighters watching their leader be the true hero he is, the caped crusader quickly tracks the bomb, and instead of letting it go off near the population, he sends it into a far out part of Gotham Bay, allowing it to blow up under the water, surely poisoning it for decades, but we'll never hear anything about it again. Plus, Bruce has a ton of explaining to do to Aquaman now, considering any marine life in this water is now donezo. Damian then satisfiedly tells Terminus that he has lost this war, so he can take that as a final thought before finally dying, and because the sun has just arisen, Gothamites get the rare sight of seeing their protector in the daylight. Issue number 13 kicks off a two-parter to end this volume, first showing us that Damian has been doing a lot of research on Harley Quinn and the Joker due to signs that the Clown Prince of Crime is making his triumphant, or should I say tumultuous, return to Gotham. I also like the Bat Shadow Bruce casts here, just like his son did in issue number 0. Damian has been awoken tonight because Dad takes the Joker very seriously, to the point that the duo take a Bat rocket ship into friggin' space in order to make sure their special communications is working correctly 100%. Am I the only one that thinks Joker would piss himself laughing if he knew this? Anyway, there's also a total solar eclipse happening, which is kind of appropriate since I'm making this video in 2024, and while Robin takes it in, he speaks about his mother with Batman, who tells him it's your turn to land the spaceship. Hey, he's been driving since he was 8, rocket ships at 10 is light work. Once back on Earth, Robin appears to return to an empty Wayne Manor, so he sneaks off to the sewers, continuing to look for something down there which he finally seems to find, but any excitement is short-lived due to a large frog assassin trying to claim the bounty on Robin. Mr. Frog is pretty tough, but with help from a rat friend that he's made, Robin puts the guy thing down with a strong electric charge. I can't make a joke here since Halle Berry has already made the best frog lightning joke ever. The main villains for this short plotline are revealed next in disturbing manner, and they're called the Saturn Club, faceless people in red cloaks who like to eat flesh, sending us straight to a Dawn of the Dead scene with Commish Gordon investigating missing bodies in a graveyard, with Batman who dismisses any supernatural events before taking samples and pulling his disappearing act on Jim for the second time in this book. How the hell can he do it in a cemetery? The art then changes hands next here to Tomasi Giorello, as it does as well in issue 14, and it looks like the Saturn Club wastes no time at all, having already created a horde of zombie-like people ready to eat. Robin has to take them head on, even though Batman explicitly told him to return home, but that order is ignored, and when an escape is forced to him, Damian spots an in distress woman, so he pretty much gives himself up to begin a rescue mission instead. Issue number 14 wraps up this book with a very apt moment for me to say, "You are what you eat," to the people we see first, as 1 second they are enjoying dinner and a second later they are not enjoying becoming dinner. Batman then crashes in to help, pumping the zombie citizens full of tranquilizer until getting crashed out of a window by Fat Man and Little Boy, which only winds up giving us a chance to see that the Saturn Club people cannot exactly be questioned. Over to Robin, he's being carried to a train by more, well, okay, it's established these people are not zombies or deadites, more like under some kind of bath salts cannabis mix, because they're just crazed out with some major munchies. Batman is tracking the location to old underground railways while yelling at Robin over a comm link, but he is keeping up his unconscious charade right up until some freaky ritual starts, and this is when he decides to strike, sending out some explosives to destroy the Saturn Club's Creepshow base. And the leader that is seen here, a nameless, unseen person in a red cloak with an ornament on it, is all he will ever be. Robin makes haste work of helping the people among him, pulling off a harrowing elevator save and receiving thanks that he pretends to not care about, even though he definitely does, except he couldn't accept them yet because a final wave of enemies is still lying in wait below. Good news is Batman has found the location, so they can bring all of this to a close in about 30 seconds. If you're wondering why things wrapped up so easily and briskly, it's due to this, or them, the Saturn Club I should say, being the opening gambit in Joker's demented war against Batman and all of his allies. Displayed here with a message given through one of those teeth-chattering toys referencing Pinocchio, which, little known fact, the whale, Monstro, that Joker mentions was actually called the terrible dogfish in Carlo Collodi's novel. For the last scene, Robin of course gets in trouble for ignoring orders of Batman on the recent mission, with them also looking at Jason's old Robin suit, I assume by the way the ensuing conversation goes, as Bruce says he just wants to protect his son and for him to not be selfish, which Damian disproves by producing a piece of the pearl necklace that Martha lost the night of her death, giving us the answer as to what he was looking for in the sewers, and this finally has Bruce taking Alfred's advice from issue number 2, telling Damian that he is proud of him. Alright. The plot for this volume 2 was an excellent sophomore outing. Throwing all of the former Robins into Bruce and Damian's affairs came off effortless, and the way our young Wayne continues to be so confident and sure of his skill, yet so unsure of how to be the hero his father wanted, was a Bat Family high point, while Terminus wasn't as enthralling a foe as Nobody, and a bit more background on him wouldn't have hurt. Also, if the Zero issue took place concluding a year and a half ago, then Damian wouldn't have had a lot of time to meet Batman before he quote-unquote died, and Nightwing took over the mantle because the Batman RIP story was New 52 canon. Getting into the art now, if you were collecting the title in full by this time, you surely found out that the artist team stayed the same, and that was such a bonus on top of everything. The action scenes had lots of unique layouts, the villains got some great designs. I especially liked Smush coming back from being the R-named brothers in Volume 1. Honestly, as I flip through the book for reference drawings, it's hard to pick which to choose. Batman's battle armor, the exploding buildings, the freakish frog attack, Damian's training montage, the spaceship passing the eclipse. Take your pick. Lastly, for the dialogue, it did something I liked the most, and that was having every verbal interaction, regardless of who was involved, be enjoyable in some degree. Alfred and Bruce going from serious to funny, Bathead's weird outburst mid-sentence was hilarious, Damien's various chats with the predecessors to the Robin uniform, albeit their mentor didn't seem to teach them to self-control emotions and contain themselves when challenged. But speaking of the current Robin, there is no doubt that his continued interactions with his dad were what kept this title as such a standout. That's gonna conclude this review, and if you watched until the end here, I want to personally thank you for that, and to please like, share, and subscribe, please follow me on all my social media platforms, and to please join me next time for Catwoman Volume 2.